This has been a big week for the 0.00001% of you who've been saying, I want more billionaires in this Democratic primary, because we might have one. On Thursday, the New York Times first reported that Michael Bloomberg is flirting with the idea of a presidential bid again, noting he has dispatched staffers to gather signatures in Alabama, a state with an early filing deadline, and calling up prominent Democrats, including, by the way, Harry Reid, who's apparently still very important. It's not clear whether he's again threatening to run or if this time around he'll really go through with it. But I think it's safe to say that pretty much everyone is assuming that this is a serious move that he's making.
Yeah, it looks like it, and he's got to decide in a couple of days because there's more filing deadlines next week. So are you in or are you out? He's been doing this for a long, long time. When the news broke in the middle of the show yesterday, it was confusing. It was like, because we're doing the show and during the commercial break, I get a thing, says Bloomberg files in Alabama. I'm like, he's running against Pete Sessions? So, because Pete Sessions obviously announced yesterday that he's running for the Alabama Senate seat. So I knew that wasn't the thing. But what I was mainly worried about, and guys, this is the most important part of this story, is I immediately scoured through the story to see, is he running as a Democrat or is he running as an independent? Because that's all the difference in the world. So he is running as a Democrat in the Democratic primary, at least for now. Okay.
He says supposedly that he will not run as an independent.
Yeah, I need that to be nailed down with 1,000,000,000% certainty. So if you're gonna run the Democratic Party, the one thing that everybody should pledge, and so they, ask the progressives this all the time when it's never been an issue. But I'm much more concerned about the Bloombergs of the world. You will not run as an independent. If that's 100% certainty, then the water's warm. Come on in, Mike. It's gonna be great. I think the Democratic primary voters are clamoring for a billionaire to save the day. I'm sure of it.
Well, especially if it's a billionaire who's also generally out of line with Democrats in issues like bank regulations, stop and frisk policing, and the Me Too movement. He has criticized it in the past. He's singled out Elizabeth Warren on her push to break up big banks. And generally when it comes to that area and that industry, he's gonna have positions that are unlike many voters, I would assume.
I wish more billionaires would do like Richard Branson and just go parasailing with presidents as opposed to running for president. I guess when you got this much money and you're 77 and you're bored, rather than starting a band, you just run for president.
Yeah.
Although that would have been equally, or actually more shocking, but fun though, if you started a band. That I would listen to.
That's what I'm talking about, right? The Bloomberg Five.
Yeah.
I saw Mike and the Bloombies.
I saw a tweet that just said, Mike, just buy Fox News. Like, yeah, why not? Well, I mean, there's a million other things you could do that would actually benefit the world, but why this is so, I guess, they say, what was the tagline for the social network? It's like you can't get to 1 billion friends without making some enemies. Well, you can't get to $53 billion without losing complete touch with reality.
Yeah.
Like to think, I'm looking out across America and thinking, I'm the one that they want.
Well, in the article it talked about how he felt that Biden's gonna be the centrist guy, and now that he feels that Biden's not doing that, I'm gonna come in and be the centrist guy. This makes me question why so many people are so afraid of the progressive side. Like it seems like people that should be happy with getting healthcare and free college education are convinced to vote against themselves and get pulled back towards the center more. Whereas I think let's go long, let's go for it. Let's push ourselves into the more progressive side. And unfortunately you get more guys like this who are like, no, let's come back in the middle. But let's go. If we're gonna lose, which hopefully we won't, but if we're gonna lose, let's lose big as opposed to losing in the middle.
Well, so I want to touch on something that you both said. So first of all, why don't I mind Bloomberg being in the race? To the point that John made, I'll add one more thing that he's conservative about. He's very open to charter schools. So like anyone who thinks Mike Bloomberg has a real chance of winning the Democratic primary honestly doesn't know anything about politics. And so you say, oh, Cenk, that's not fair. You have to keep an open mind and blah, 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 and he has billions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. Totally, utterly irrelevant. No way these primary voters are voting for a guy who targeted blacks and Latinos with stop and frisk. And who is a giant, not just that he's a billionaire, I don't care that he's a billionaire. I don't know that others do, maybe they do. I don't care that he's a billionaire. I think you could be a wonderful guy and be a billionaire. But that defends Wall Street with like a frenzied passion.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we don't need to regulate Wall Street. Now remember, he made all of his money by selling the Bloomberg terminals to Wall Street. Okay, so he is Wall Street through and through. So that is never, ever gonna win on the Democratic primary side in this cycle. Like that, you have to know nothing about politics to think that. Yet most of the major media, I mean, they are taking him so seriously. They're like, oh my God, this is a formidable entry into the race if he does. Formidable with who?
Well, why don't we show that actually? Because the thing is, it's not like he actually went around the country talking to activists and regular voters, let alone progressives, to find out if they'd like him. He talks to a limited number of people, the power brokers in the party and people in media. And what do you know? Some of those people actually like him. And so take a look at a little bit of what Chuck Todd had to say yesterday after the announcement, or at least the leak came out.
Guns and climate. Who's to his left?
Well, Beto was to his left on guns, but he's not going to be a factor any longer.
Right? I mean, so
also the governor of
you can make an argument that
Bloomberg has embraced the Green New Deal.
I don't think he's embraced that. I agree.
So that's one area where he actually is more to the center than she is.
You know, in the smoke-filled room, you'd say on paper, Bloomberg has the right balance of what you want to win a broad election, maybe not a deep election, but if you're trying to win the ex-suburban Republican, which, by the way, Michael Bloomberg's an ex-suburban, arguably an ex-urban Republican. And at the same time, you care about these core progressive issues like guns and climate. It ain't just somebody buying an election.
Oh, that's such a bad take in so many ways.
But listen, guys, I was just in New York, and I was at a conference that had both bankers and media figures. We talked about it on the post game yesterday, tyt.com/join to get the fuller conversation. But I'm here to tell you, they live in a billion% different bubble than the rest of us. I mean, and the bubble's thick. Everyone in the room's like, oh yeah, Biden, he got this thing nailed. I mean, a little worried about Warren. And Warren, she would destroy capitalism. She would immediately destroy the economy. Oh my God, hair on fire. And they think, well, and she would obviously lose. Obviously lose. We would all vote against her. She would obviously lose. You guys are 1% of 1% of 1%. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about the rest of the country. They're talking about, like, I said to one guy, wages have been stagnant for 40 years. He says, so what? I mean, look, even if you don't care policy-wise, in terms of politics, that's 99.9% of the voters. They care. That's the answer. They care. So a guy who is so out of touch with the person, and look, but so why I'm telling you that is not just because I guarantee you, I mean, I would bet any amount of money and give almost any odds that Mike Bloomberg will not win this Democratic primary. But I'm telling you that because Chuck Todd lives in that bubble. It's a weird, ironic way of almost defending him. Everyone in that bubble, all they ever hear every day, 24/7 by everyone around them, by 99% of the people around them are like, oh no, Warren and Sanders can't possibly win. And people don't like populism. Trump just won, he just won in 2016. And they're still all going around like, oh, we hate populism, right? Everybody hates populism. No, populism isn't gonna work. You need a really establishment candidate who loves billionaires. Well, that was Hillary Clinton, she lost to Donald Trump. But nope, that facts cannot penetrate that bubble. Yeah. So everyone on TV thinks, oh, Bloomberg, oh, hey, could be Bloomberg, it could be Bloomberg. You guys are nuts. Here, come on, any person on cable news, name the price, name the odds, I'll take the bet.
And also, it would be one thing if it was just Chuck Todd talking to his audience who he knows are not composed of progressives and saying, I like him as a potential alternative to Biden. He's got a bunch of money, I like that. It was the gaslighting that, no, the reason he'll win is because of core progressive values. Who's to the left? Who's to the left? He doesn't support the Green New Deal. Well, yeah, but other than that, on the climate, who's to the left? What are you talking about? That's where the party is at. That's where the left is at. They reformed all of what the Democratic Party thinks about and is planning when it has to do with climate change around that policy. He completely rejects that, but no one's to his left on that topic.
Everybody is to his left on like 4 really significant topics. Like literally everyone, even the most conservative Democrat is to the left. Joe Biden, it seems like a wild-eyed progressive compared to Bloomberg on Wall Street and on stop and frisk and criminal justice reform, right? So, and then on the issues he's supposed to be good at, hey, I don't begrudge him that. If he wants to help on gun control and on climate change, I'm super happy to take his help. But if he thinks being moderate on those positions is good enough to win a Democratic primary and have people support him for president, he's nuts, and everybody who thinks that is nuts. But I want to make one more point about what Maz said. Look, everyone in media drills into everybody's head that the establishment Democrats are more likely to win. It is the exact opposite of the truth. You just saw it with your own eyes. So it's not me versus the rest of the media combined. It's your own eyes, facts that you know to be true, versus the rest of the media combined. Hillary Clinton did in fact lose. I don't know if you guys know that. She's not president. She was an establishment Democrat. Biden is an establishment Democrat. Bloomberg is an establishment partly Democrat. So they are not more electable. So every time you say that, they're like, oh, no, it's because of the weather and James Comey and the Russians, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, the establishment never. No, Bernie Sanders had a 12-point lead on election day. 12-point lead. I don't know if you know this, but they would have run a campaign against him. They would have had negative ads. Oh, really, Mr. Sophisticated? I didn't know that. Yes, but a 12-point lead would have been a nice cushion, right? As opposed to what we had, which is someone who lost to Donald Trump. So I'm positive beyond anything I can describe to you that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have a far, far better chance of winning than Joe Biden or preposterous Mike Bloomberg. They think they're gonna rally the whole country because they're like, oh no, guys, it's okay. We now have a billionaire who's mainly right wing. So hey, everybody go vote for lower wages.
Yeah.
That's not planet Earth. That's not this country. These analysts unfortunately know nothing. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.